guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a sit down video, and this video is not something like I really thought I would want to discuss or talk about on my channel, but I feel like it's to the point that I should talk about it because I've gotten so many requests, because I do share my videos on my social media and people have wondered what happened in the situation that I will be talking about today. And I'm getting to the point that I have to talk about it now, and it's giving me anxiety, and it's only gonna help if I talk about it. But if you see me looking down, it is because I have notes, because if I don't have notes, I will probably forget some stuff that I have to talk about, and I really don't want to edit this video, so this is probably going to be just straight upload point. And it's about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just need to talk about this at this point. So let's get into it. I also have some wine, because why not? I am 22, so why not? So I'm going to be talking about my ex and my relationship, and the whole situation that happened. I might cry, I might get emotional. This might be triggering to some people, but I don't want people to have to feel like they're alone going through this, because I felt so alone for so long, and I continue to feel alone. So back in 2016, I started dating my ex around, I think it was beginning of March. We had met on a app called Mimi. It was my yearbook, like really far back then, and then it changed to Mimi and stuff. So I met him on there. We started talking, and I was a senior in high school, and I was super depressed. And for some reason, I was attracted to him, and I just sent him a snap one day, and I was like, I wish I had a date to prom and such and such. And he's like, well, I would take you if you would let me. And I was like, what? And then we started talking, and then things led on, and then we ended up meeting when I was working at Kohl's. I was working at Kohl's around in March that year, as like a school thing that I did, and we hung out right after me getting off work, and we started dating that day that we met. I kind of thought, okay, like this is only gonna be like a temporary thing, and so things started to go faster. At prom, he gave me a promise ring, and that was literally not even 2 months into us dating. So I was like, okay, like let's just see how it is. And it's just like, I think it was like a month later, we ended up getting the dog that I have now, and it was our dog. He was the one that wanted the dog so bad, and I'll get into that like later on, like the whole thing. So I ended up keeping it, and we ended up getting a dog. I paid for it with my college money, because he kept telling me, oh, he wanted a dog, oh this, oh that, and he was living in a house alone with one of his roommates and with one of his friends, and they were like, okay, we want a dog. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pay for it. Like, they kept telling me over and over. And he wanted another dog, but we ended up getting the dog that I really wanted because I was the one paying for it. My parents kept telling me, oh, like, you're going too fast, like, you should slow down because you just got out of high school and you have a dog already. Like, that's kind of like having a kid. And then so it kept going on, and then everything was fine, and then we got engaged. We got engaged 6 months into us dating. I was 19 engaged, and right after getting engaged, I was hit by a car, and I had found out that I was pregnant. I did not tell anyone. I literally told my mom, and that was it. He still does not know to this day that I was pregnant with his kid because I was scared to death because I did not want to have a kid with someone that I barely knew and that I was engaged with. And it was just really, really hard on me. Like, I got hit by a car and like my whole side was bruised, and I ended up falling into the road, and the push never stopped, and it was just really, really painful, like the whole situation. And then we ended up telling my family after that. Like, I think it was like my parents already knew, but we ended up telling all my other family that we were engaged, and they were all like really surprised and they kept telling me like, oh, you're going too fast. Like, I was like, oh, like, I just felt like I was in love, but I really wasn't. Like, I didn't know what love meant and love felt like at that point. And it was just really hard situation for me. And then we started wedding planning and picking out a date. He literally wanted to get married, not even a year and a half into us dating. And my parents convinced me, you have to wait. You have to wait. Like, you have to wait until 2 years into you guys dating and being together, at least, to get married. And I thank my parents to this day for making me wait. So we ended up starting wedding planning. We picked out a date for 2018, and everything just started to go downhill. He was very controlling about the whole wedding planning process. He kept wanting everything his way. If it wasn't his way, he would throw a fit. The colors had to be exactly the colors that he liked, and for a female, like, that's what I've always wanted. Like, I've always wanted to plan my wedding and like have my own like dream wedding. No, he wanted a farm wedding. He wanted blue. He wanted red and black. He wanted roses. He wanted this, that. It was everything he wanted. It was nothing I wanted. Like, I would literally have to text him and clear it from him before I did anything. Like, if he didn't like it, I would have to go and find my own idea. Again, it was very, very hard. So, it was just, the whole thing was really hard. And I think it was about a year into us being together, he came to me and told me, oh, like, I don't know if I really love you. Like, I want to try and date other people. Like, he was bi. So I was like, okay, like, that's fine. Just be you. Like, I'll be okay. And then I think that's about when the abuse started. Like, he started becoming violent and very controlling towards me. He would slap me, he would hit me. If things weren't going his way, he would like get very angry with me and start hitting me, slapping me. He once kicked me, and it got to the point that like I started not to trust him. He would literally go through my phone and delete people my social media, but I could not touch his phone. And it got to the point that one night, I think he was asleep, I went through his phone and found out that he was cheating on me with 5 different other women. I ended up confronting him, and he told me, oh, like, you're talking to your guy friends, so I can talk to these girls. Like, that's not right. Like, even though I have guy friends, like, I still can be friends with them, like, just as friends, like, not talking to them in any way. And I think it was, like, the final straw that made me look through his phone, deleted my best friend, Zach. My best friend, Zach, has literally been there for me through high school, even though he lives in Wisconsin, and he is just one of my best friends, and he deleted him, and I was like, what the fuck, like, you can't delete my friends. So he ended up deleting him, and I went through his phone, found everything, and then on top of that, he ended up buying a motorcycle 2 months before even fucking telling me. I had to find out on my own. I ended up finding out when he left his iPad at my house. It kept going off, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna look on it, and I found a motorcycle. He left his iPad here so I could do my college work, so I found that he had a motorcycle and found out that he was cheating on me again. I ended up confronting him, and I felt like I could not trust him. The abuse kept coming on. I came home late from work one night, and this was the final straw. This night, he ended up punching me in the face, kicking me to the ground, and putting a gun to my head. I never thought, like, I would feel that way. I felt so low, like, I felt like no one cared about me, like I felt like a fucking mess. And I ended up telling my mom. My mom and I talked for like hours, and she was the only one really there for me at that point. Even though me and my mom are still super close to this day, my mom didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I stayed through it, and got to the point that I think it was about 4 months before we were supposed to get married, we ended up breaking up. I kept going through his phone and stuff, and he kept getting more angry, so he ended up breaking up with me because of that. He was like, since you don't trust me, I think we should break up and not get married. And we ended up calling off the wedding and everything. I had almost everything bought. He literally let me buy the invitations 3 days before he broke up with me. 3 days. Like, what kind of person does that? Like, really? So, I ended up buying the invitations and everything, and I have sold over half the wedding stuff because I don't want it. I just don't want that. So, it ended up like that, and I started not to talk to him and anything, and he kept wanting to come over to visit our dog, and he made me keep the dog because the dog lived at my house at that point, because he got kicked out of his house that he was living in because he was doing drugs with everyone else in the house. So he got kicked out, and the dog is still here living with me, and it's been 2 years after we broke up. It's been over a year and a half since we broke up, and the dog has lived with me since for almost 2.5 years. And yeah, so it ended like that. My mental health, it's just really fucked up at this point, and it still is. Like, it was at that point, and it still continues to be, and it's a problem with most of my relationships because I don't trust the person. And I always feel like they're gonna cheat on me. I always feel like they're gonna hit me or something. And that's like my biggest issue with mine and my boyfriend's relationship right now. Like, I love him and I'm happy with him, and I've been with him for over 6 months, but I'm constantly feeling like I'm not enough. I constantly feel like he's gonna cheat on me, and it's kind of taking a toll on our relationship. And it's just really, really hard. And both of us constantly, like, it's not my fault. I feel this way. Like, I don't know how to control it. Like, I've tried so hard. And that's how it's, like, ruined some of my relationships, because I don't trust the person. I constantly feel like they're gonna hurt me. How do I feel about the whole situation? I feel like I should have got out of it sooner. And I feel like it was the best decision on never talking to him again. At this point, I know he is engaged again, and he still works where he works, which he should not have that job, because no, like, you're dealing with ex-convicts and you should be in prison. Like, dude, like, you shouldn't be there. I have moved on. I continue to not bring up the past and talk about it all the time, but it's hard not to sometimes when people constantly ask you what happened. Like, I can really go into more detail with this, but I don't want to give too many detail. Why I don't want to see him or let him see our dog, because he hasn't seen the dog in over 1.5 years. Last time he contacted me was like, I think it was like, I can't remember. I think it was like 7-8 months ago. He ended up asking me if he could come and visit me and the dog and see the dog, and I was like, you haven't seen the dog in like 8 months. Why do you want to see him now? So, I won't let him see the dog because the dog has really bad anxiety, and the dog only lives here, and I have a fear that he's going to try and take away the dog, and the dog is so attached to me, I don't want to lose the dog. So, yeah. And my parents love my dog because he is like my child. I take very good care of him. Probably the best thing I've ever had. So, if you guys are feeling in any way or feel like you can't get out of a situation like this, please don't feel alone. Please just message me on Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat. I'm always here to talk. I just don't want someone to feel like they're alone going through this. And I feel like this is like the end of it. Like, I feel like no one needs to go through this, because no one should. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm sorry this video is so long, and I hope you have a good night.